my name is Umberto Mucci and this is We the ItaliaNews, a podcast about Italy during coronavirus times. Today is Monday, December 21. This is the penultimate video of this year. We the ItaliaNews will be back on Wednesday, December 23rd, and then we'll take a little break and come back on January 4th. All the rest of We the Italians doesn't stop. The December magazine is online since today. We are working on the January interviews. The news will be updated every day, including Christmas and January 1st. And we are working on the yearbook with the 2020 interviews that will be released in January 2021. Over the past 7 days, Italy has had an average of 60,010 new positives per day, or minus 394 cases per day compared to the previous 7 days. The percentage variation of new cases recorded in the last 7 days compared to the previous 7 days was minus 2.4%. Besides, the overall percentage change in the total number of patients admitted to the Italian hospitals during the last 7 days was minus 9.3%, and the percentage change in intensive care units was minus 13.1%. Infection numbers have more or less stabilized, but the experts tell us that they were hoping for stabilization at a lower level than this. On average, we had 611 diseases per day in Italy in the last 7 days and 635 in the previous 7 days. And at this point, and after all the restrictions of the last few months, even this figure should have been much lower according to the forecasts. And speaking of COVID deaths, a recently published study has revealed a sensational fact. 90% of COVID victims in Italy did not die in the intensive care unit, which is where, at least for the most part, they would have a better chance of fighting to save themselves. And this is not a fact that concerns only the beginning of the pandemic, when we were not prepared for what would happen to us. It concerns also today. Why does it happen? For one thing, many patients die in ordinary wards because they don't have respiratory distress at first, despite being virus positive. These are people who already have serious illnesses. However, swab positivity includes these deaths in the pandemic count. In these situations, the patient admitted for other reasons than COVID to an ordinary ward, within 48 hours will develop severe respiratory failure and does not make it to the intensive care unit, either because there is no room or because there is no staff. If the patient is a hypertensive, diabetic or cardiac, the 48 hours become 24 or sometimes only 12. Also, sometimes very old patients are not admitted to the ICU because they are too frail to sustain mechanical ventilation. These elderly people die in the residences where they live, which are poorly equipped for serious and very fast health crises, or at home, where home care is not at all excellent and has improved very little in some regions during these 10 months since the beginning of the pandemic. Despite the fact that Italian doctors and nurses are fighting very hard a war to save us with courage and strength, but with few means available. In 10 months, the Italian healthcare machine has not changed even one of its gasps or rigidities. The Ministry of Health has become the Ministry of Lockdown, waiting for the vaccine to arrive. In the last 2 days, another emergency has broken out in Europe, which at first really frightened everyone. In Great Britain, a mutation of the virus has been discovered, which would make this new strain faster to reproduce. At the beginning, someone had assumed that this mutation would resist the vaccine, but in reality, fortunately, it would seem that this is not the case. Some experts are accusing Great Britain of knowing about this mutation for 3 months and not having said anything. Today, it is out of control, according to what the British government says, which has just decided a new total lockdown in Great Britain. Italy and almost all European countries have closed all flights with the English island, and there are no more trains or cars allowed in the tunnel under the sea that connects it with France. Coincidentally, these are also the last days of Britain's stay in the European Union. From January 1st, 2021, it'll be Brexit, and the British will no longer be part of the EU. Even Italy already has the first 2 cases with this new mutation of the virus. A woman arrived from London and her partner hospitalized in Rome. The memory inevitably goes to the Chinese couple infected by the coronavirus hospitalized at the Spallanzani Hospital in Rome in February, which were the first cases discovered in Italy, and when I started these videos telling you things that were not yet your daily life. And these are terrifying and frightening memories. But the authorities are telling us that it seems that the new strain of the virus is faster but no more lethal, and once again that the vaccines seem to be working. Honestly, we are clinging to these words and don't want to think about the possibilities that they are not true, just as we are starting our first vaccinations here in Italy at the end of the week that began today. Although a faster virus, and this one seems to be 70% faster than the original one, it increases the number of infected people, which then becomes an increase in those who are hospitalized in intensive care units, and then an increase in the number of deaths. And we will probably have to resign ourselves to this, despite the almost complete lockdown we already are in. According to a study conducted immediately after the end of the first lockdown among major international investors in strategic infrastructure, Italy is the European country in which they intend to invest more. Infrastructure is, everywhere in the world, one of the engines to restart the economy because it creates wealth and jobs. Italy is at the forefront of their desires because in a country the gap between projects in the pipeline and those to be implemented is wider than in the rest of Europe due to the chronic lack of investment. Every year we invest 125 billion in infrastructure, considering both public and private money. Between now and 2040, we lack at least 373 billion euros investments to meet the real needs of the country, i.e. more than 18 billion euros a year of gap to fill, and the countries near us are much better off. According to the Italian government's estimate, investments in mobility alone to be upgraded, maintained and made smart and ecological are worth 190 billion, an important figure almost equal to the entire European Recovery Fund for Italy, 209 billion euros. The plan covers about 100 priority works which require at least a decade to become reality. Only for trains there are 12 projects and 20 for roads. Then there are ports and airports which need upgrades, controls and improvements. To become a faster and more modern country, much more is needed, from investments in digital technology to social technology. In the European ranking that measures the digitization of the 28 member countries, we are only in 24th place. Making up for this delay in the field of public administration would earn 25 billion to the state budget. We are among the European countries with the highest number of elderly people and the highest life expectancy, but the less equipped in their care. Today there are just 200,000 beds, while at least 600,000 are needed. The condition for obtaining European fund is subject to those reforms that have always been announced, but which we have never done. The simplification of bureaucracy, the reduction of both criminal and civil justice times, a plan to fight corruption and fight evasion tax, the reform of the labor market with the relative reduction of taxation, the improvement of education and professional training with specific reference to digital skills. And this is also the wish of the very wealthy private investor funds. The 44% of them are making plans to invest more in Italy in the next 12 months. Let's hope so. It's all for now, it's all for today. I'll see you on Wednesday for the last video of 2021. Please stay safe and stay healthy. My name is Umberto Mucci. This is We the ItaliaNews. Ciao from Rome.